everybody. Welcome to the Bowfishing Buzz presented by AMS Bowfishing. My name is Matthew, and of course I'm with my good buddy D. Schmitty.
How's it going, everybody?
How are things been going for you there, D. Schmitty?
It's been getting better because we've been getting out and shooting some fish, or trying to shoot some fish.
But man, I tell you, once again, it's a cold, dreary, misty, gray, dark Monday again back here at work.
Yep.
And this weather just cannot straighten out.
No. We went out, what day was that? Last week, Friday.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be nice and sunny, warm, and it was just brutal.
It was bad.
The wind was just eating us up.
It was blowing 15 constant with gusts up to the 20s.
We were back in areas where we should have been out of the wind.
And there was whitecaps.
Yes. Yep. Just to put it in perspective for everybody listening, we had the fan on as fast as it can go full throttle, and we had our 112-pound thrust trolling motor trying to make us go into the wind, and we were barely making any ground.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. Gosh.
But that's the crazy thing about it is we've had such flip-flopping weather, the last 2 weeks. Nothing is consistent.
No.
Because, I've gone out and I've done well, and I've gone out and I've seen some good action, and things should be starting to get really rolling here now. It should be really rolling. Our average temps right now are supposed to be 65 degrees.
Oh, my gosh.
We're in the mid-40s right now with high winds and rain.
Yep.
So everything's just been really flip-flopped and very inconsistent.
Well, last week, I know you got on some fish last week. During the week you went out. You were shooting some good fish.
Got on some really good fish.
Yeah. So
really
we went out Friday with the camera, and of course the wind was just brutal. And then Saturday we were forecasted up until like Friday morning, we were supposed to get like 5 to 8 inches of snow.
Right. And
then that turned to rain, and we never really got the rain.
We didn't get it, but this week was the first Wisconsin Bowfishing Association's tournament down at Mud and Chub Lakes, and that's where all the weather went.
Yeah.
It went south of us.
Yep.
And I know I had a buddy, Jody Bigalki, texted me a picture of his boat right before takeoff, and it had like 2 inches of snow on it.
Oh my gosh. I saw a picture. I don't recall who it was. It was a barrel of fish. You couldn't see any fish. It was snowy on top. Yeah, you could just see little outlines.
Wow.
Yeah.
So hats off to the shooters that went down and shot in the first Wisconsin tournament this year. I couldn't make it. It was my daughter's prom, and of course the wife had to work nights this week, so I had to go pick up my daughter. She's a freshman, so she had no license. So I had to be around at quarter after 11 to go pick her up, and then my other daughter's a senior, so she drove home, of course. But then all their friends come to our house afterwards, and we cook up a big meal of spaghetti for them all and stuff like that.
Oh, so absolutely. That's cool.
I was home for that, so I couldn't make it down there. But hats off to everybody that went down there. I do see that the numbers winners shot 402 fish.
Wow. If that's correct, they shot almost 200 more fish than the second place numbers team.
Yeah, second place was 206.
Wow. 402 for the first place and 206 second, 148 third. Wow.
And that's really putting in and do some really good shooting because of the weather conditions that they were dealing with down there. It was high winds, snow, rain, cold. I think it was like 28 degrees.
Oh my gosh, that's...
So yeah, they had some pretty rough conditions. And then the numbers, first place in the Big 20 was 252 pounds. So, for conditions, that's really good. That's a really good weights down there. And I got to give a shout out to one of my good buddies, Pete Gregoire from Team Obscure Adventures. Pete used to live up here in Wisconsin.
Yep.
And he was the WBA secretary for several years. He did a great job for the club. Just handled everything great. Was great for keeping records and stuff like that. And he moved down south now to Missouri. But now he's doing a great job with the BAA secretary, and he does a great job down there with helping with the BAA and also with the records keeping and stuff like that. He's the one that you would contact for the records and all that stuff, and send your photos into and your weights of your fish down there.
Yeah.
But I got a quick chance to talk to him at the Bass Pro U.S. Open down in Shreveport, Louisiana, before takeoff, and I wished him good luck, and we chatted a little bit about bowfishing and stuff like that. And here it come to find out that his team shot the biggest buffalo carp down there for that
Remember seeing
tournament.
the picture. Yep.
What a hog of a buff.
What was the weight on that fish?
73.3 pounds.
Ooh. That's a toad, right?
It's a very nice fish.
Wow.
Very nice fish.
Wow.
And they pocketed a cool $3,900 for that fish also.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
And I think they also got the overall heaviest fish also.
I was going to say, they took home a lot of hardware from that tournament.
Yeah.
That was quite the showing.
Congrats to Team Pier Shot for winning the Bass Pro US Open. That's a nice $25,000
Holy moly.
purse to win.
Yeah.
They also won 4 AMS hooligan bows that we donated to also for that. So
man, those hooligan bows, they're such nice bows, that might be even better than the $25,000.
Yeah, they just had some nice grass carp.
Okay.
And I had a good time down there.
Yeah.
I did a lot of talking.
Sure.
On Friday afternoon and Saturday throughout the day. Weather conditions were pretty rough down there. They had a lot of storms in the area and stuff like that. But I tell you what, I caught a cold Saturday night in my motel room.
Oh.
And I had to get up at 4 o'clock to fly back home.
Oh, you were sick in the airport.
I was sick in the airport.
Oh,
I didn't get sick, but I was feeling, I had the chills. I was sweating. I felt just total like crap.
Oh, gosh.
And I had 8 hours of flights and airports and all that stuff. And I tell you what, when I got home, I did not come back to work for 3 days.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you were
out. Hit with a wrecking ball.
Yeah. Airports are awful enough as it is without having a terrible cold to add on to it. Oh, my gosh.
So whoever was the person that shook my hand down there that had a cold, I'm going to come looking for you.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they that was strategic. They thought you were shooting in the tournament, so they transferred the cold over to you.
I was back in my motel room. I went and got something to eat. I came back to watch the Final Four.
Oh, okay,
and I could feel it in my back of my nose and in my throat area. So, yeah, whoever you are that had the sniffles.
You know who you are.
You rub your nose before you shook my hand. I'm going to come and get you.
Yeah, that's too bad.
No, but congrats to those guys for doing a great job. I saw some pictures. Like I said, they had some nice grass carp, some really, and that's what's so strange is it seems like even though conditions are terrible and bad, you still have teams because there's so many teams. Somebody knows where to go. Somebody has fish held up. And, of course, you have to have the weather has to, when you have all these storms that are just rolling through like that left and right, you have to be in an area where you're kind of getting lucky by missing some of those storms.
Right.
Because it's not like you're going to just one lake.
Right.
You can go to several different lakes, several different rivers. So you can try to get out of those areas. And it, like I said, it's always a little bit of luck in there that maybe some of them bad storms went just south of you or just north of you.
Right.
Or you didn't get hit as hard as some of the teams that went down in this area.
That's got to be a whole new element. Okay, you go to different lakes to find fish. Well, you have to add the element in. Oh, it looks like on the radar, say 2 hours before you're about to go shoot, given lake is going to get pounded tonight. Mm-hmm. Well, then you gotta strategize on the fly.
What are you gonna do?
That takes a lot of good thinking as far as right off the top being able to go and find fish.
Absolutely,
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
absolutely. And one just little quick note here: we've got our Wisconsin Take a Kid Bowfishing Day coming up on Saturday, May 11th. So if you're in the Wisconsin area and you've got any kiddos that want to come and check out bowfishing, make sure you give our shop a call here at 888-541-7657. And we bumped this up quite a bit over a month.
Yep.
We bumped it up to May 11th to get the kids onto some spawning fish so they can get into some action and stuff like that. Yep. So we've got 17 boat captains that have already signed up to help get the kids out.
That's awesome right there in itself.
Absolutely. And we do ours a little different. It's all about teaching these kids about bowfishing. We have them come in and we have them kind of get used to the equipment at first.
Right.
We take them down to a little canal. We have some guard targets floating in the water there, and we kind of get the kids set up with each of their bows, and they shoot for we have different groups coming down there, but they shoot for 45 minutes, different groups.
Yep.
And we let them get accustomed to these the bows and how everything works and stuff like that, so they're not on the water trying to learn this stuff. They're on land shooting into this canal at targets. And then we kind of go over, what is bow fishing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Right.
Some of the bow fishing rules, I tell these kids that, here in Wisconsin, you cannot dump your fish. You can't leave them at the boat landings. You can't dump them in ditches and stuff like that.
Right, that's a big no-no.
So I always tell these kids here, if I ever down the road will see your name, or if you get caught for dumping fish, I'm going to be very upset.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, putting that into these kids, because like I said, this is our next generation of bow fishers out there. So we always try to, you know, teach them not only bow fishing, but rules and ethics of bow fishing.
One of the things you had mentioned, we go down to the canal and the kids shoot the bows. It is amazing to me through the last couple of years of watching that, how you could have a kid who's maybe never shot a bow in his life. Mm-hmm. He'll go down there, you know, you'll have an instructor there to help him. We'll give him the appropriate bow, set it up appropriately for the kid, and say his first shot, he misses 2 feet high. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have him shoot again, and we'll give him a little tidbit or a little tip. He's a little closer. And then we'll have him shoot 3 or 4 times, and pretty soon they pick it up so fast. Pretty soon they're hitting that target every time.
That's one of my favorite times.
Yeah.
Is that getting used to the equipment times.
Yes.
Shooting at those targets.
Yep.
The kids are all sitting there in line, they're waiting to go next, and they're just flinging arrows left and right. But it's so cool, to, like you said, to watch them pick up so fast.
Yeah, they go from not knowing a thing. They don't even, I mean, they've never drawn a bow back in their life. And 5 minutes later, they're hitting a target with no sights, nothing, you know, just a bow fishing bow. That's very satisfying to see from, you know, a mentor standpoint.
Absolutely.
I think that's very cool.
And hats off to, you know, all the boat captains that have called in and said that they'll be there with their boats to take these kids out, because without them, we can't make this possible.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So we've got that coming up May 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I'm actually very...
It's free to all the kids, too.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah. I'm very sad that I am not going to be able to be there this year.
You're going to be in Louisville.
Yep, for a different kids shooting.
For a different kids event.
Yep, NASP Nationals down there. So
you'll be there with the AMS booth down there.
Yep, yep. But that's just sad. I'm going to get to miss out on all the kiddos shooting fish. That's always cool to see that. But
very cool, very cool. Well, I got out a couple times this past week.
You made me all jealous when you showed me the pictures the next day at work.
And I had a hard time, man. When my alarm went off at 6 o'clock in the morning, oh my gosh, I had a hard time getting up.
Well, you went back-to-back nights, didn't you?
Back-to-back nights,
Oh, man, I don't know about that.
Hey, when the fishing is good, you got to get out. With the weather that's been so goofy here, you know, you got some good days, you got to get out there.
Just a little side note. This is a little Matthew Schillinger fact for everybody who's listening. Matt is actually not a human being. He does not need sleep. He does not need to regroup. There will be times when we'll be on the road for something. He doesn't sleep. I always fall asleep. Matt will go like 4 days on 4 hours of sleep. It's just, he's a tank. I have no idea how he does it.
You get used to it.
I guess.
You get used to
man. I'm sitting there from having 6 hours of sleep the night before, and you're shot a tournament the night before, and you're more awake than I am. I always find that just fascinating.
And just so everybody knows, I do not drink energy drinks at all.
Yeah.
I don't drink them.
Water and milk, that's all he drinks. Drinks milk like it's going out of style. It's just ridiculous.
I don't drink milk when I'm bow fishing, though. I drink water.
I know you said one night, you said that if you could choose one drink, if you're getting sleepy on a night, or if you're getting, you know, it's 2 a.m. on a night of a tournament, you said that ice cold water over anything.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of those energy drinks. I can't drink them.
Yeah.
Just don't like the taste of it and the fizz. It's just not right. So I don't drink that stuff. But we did get out. I did go out with our first guest that we ever had on.
Oh, yes.
I went with Jody.
Yep.
John Hebel from John's Custom Boats. And one of Noah's partners his girlfriend went along also. And we went out. Well, actually, let me back up here. Because we went out we went out April 19th. Okay. Me and Timmy Boy.
Oh, yes.
And John. We went out. And we shot a handful of commons. But the water, when we got back to where we wanted to go back and get into some buffs, the water was about 4 feet low yet at this time.
Oh.
And we could not get within a mile of the shoreline down in that area that we wanted to get to.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
We did find a pocket in about 5 feet of water where there was some buffs hanging out, but the water was so dirty. We were kind of pushing them out of the dirty water and up onto sand flats where we got a couple of shots. So I think we shot about 10 buffs that night.
Sure.
But we couldn't get you couldn't get back into where we wanted to get to.
Sure.
My buddy went out Saturday night and the water was flooded.
Oh, my Lord.
They could go wherever they wanted to.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that the...
They did well.
Yeah, okay.
They did very well that night.
Yep.
So I went back out on April 16th and April 17th. I went out. No, take that back. April 17th and 18th.
Okay.
Wednesday and Thursday. The first night we went out, we went into some creeks to try to get away from the dirty water, to try to get some clear water.
Yep.
And there really wasn't much in there. There was a couple commons spread out here and there,
Sure.
and some quillbacks here and there. And then, like I said, then we went down and we found some pockets of some of them buffs. So then we went back down. Actually, I got that all screwed up, I think.
23rd and 24th, or 24th and 25th.
Right.
You went out on the 19th and then the 24th and 25th. Is that right?
So I went back down on the 24th
Sure.
with Jody. And we did really good that night.
Yeah.
We had a good night. We shot a lot of nice buffs. We were pushing a lot of fish. There was a lot of fish that had moved in.
Oh, okay.
But they had the water so dirty, it was just a ton of V's that you could see. And you can always tell when it's a V from a buffalo versus a V from a smaller fish like a common and stuff.
Right.
Because those buffs,
Oh,
I mean, they make a wake.
it's like a submarine under the water.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
And we just had a blast last night. That night, we shot a lot of fish. And the nice thing I like about going with somebody else, I don't have to take care of the fish, or I don't have to watch the boat.
Sure.
Sorry, Jody, that was on you that night.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
But we had a blast. Like I said, everything was working great. I was shooting. One thing that I usually don't shoot when I'm shooting buffalo are the Anchor QTs.
QTs, okay.
I usually shoot Anchor FXs.
Sure, okay.
Because it's not a twist body style release. Mm-hmm. You have to remove the tip. You don't have to remove the tip, but you got to turn the tip.
Yep.
But I was just going to try the Anchor QTs that night on some bigger fish, and I really enjoyed how they held.
Sure.
I really enjoyed, just grabbing that arrow and bringing that big old buff into the boat and just twisting my shaft and pulling my arrow back out without having to remove the tip.
And you're ready to go.
And release the tip and stuff, and I was locked and loaded and ready to shoot some more fish. So I was really happy with the AMS Anchor QT. It worked really good that night.
Yeah.
But it was a good night. I think we ended up leaving the water at around 11:30ish. Got back to the boat landing and loaded up. And then we got an hour and a half drive back home.
Oh, that's the worst part about it.
And then we got stuck in stuck behind a train at a train crossing for 20 minutes. We sat there till midnight.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
That would be... And you're tired and everything to boot. You got work the next morning. Yeah. That just had to be frustrating.
20 minutes sitting there waiting for a goofy train. So then we went back out the next night.
Oh.
And now, this was really cool because I took a first-time bow fisher. I took my Pastor Zach, who has never bow fished in his life. Mm-hmm. I have tried to get him out on the boat several times, and just with his work, he just never could find an opening. He's got 4 kids, so he could never, with the kids and stuff like that, he just couldn't make time.
Right.
But Zach is a huge bow hunter. He loves bow hunting whitetails.
He shot
He did.
toad. Was that this past year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 160, 170.
It was Boone and Crockett.
Oh my gosh. Big old buck.
It was a basic 12x12. Or 6x6. Mainframe 12 point, just a beautiful, beautiful deer. Mm-hmm. And he shot that deer like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was on a Sunday.
Oh, right after he was done.
So right after we got done with church, he went home and ate something and went and sat in his stand. I think he was in his stand for like a half hour, and his buck comes walking across his food plot.
I remember when I first saw a picture of that deer, for a split second, I'm like, oh, Zach he must have taken a trip to Canada just because of how the deer looked.
Right.
It was such a big body deer, dark, thick tines. It looked like a Canadian deer.
It did.
But that was just
and the cool thing about that is,
giant.
As it was coming across his food plot, coming towards him, he had a camera there, and the camera got several pictures of this deer walking across his food plot before he ended up shooting it.
Oh, that's cool.
So Zach he's a big archery hunter, but he's never been out bow fishing. So I texted him. I said, hey, man, we're going out tonight. If you got time, we'd love to have you in the boat. And he texted me back and said, let me check on a few things quick. So a little while later, I got a text back saying, well, I really shouldn't do this, but I'm going to go.
Okay.
Because he had a lot of stuff on his plate.
Sure.
So one thing that I always like to do when I have like a newbie bow fisher that I'm taking out,
Yep.
I like to get to the water while it's still light out.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to be sitting there teaching them how the equipment works and stuff like that. In the dark.
Right.
Because, you know, a bow fishing boat to somebody that's never bow fished is very strange.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Getting them up on the deck, you know, they're kind of like, you know, wobble, you know, they don't have their
sea legs.
Their sea legs on them.
Yeah.
So they're kind of a little iffy about getting up there. So I always like to get up there before it gets dark out, show them how everything works. So to get them comfortable with the equipment, how to stand up there and stuff like that, because they're a little nervous.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they don't know, you know, the fan, you know, making noise like that and stuff like that, and how it turns and stuff like that, and how you should lean and running into stumps and stuff like that. So get them out there during the daylight so you can go over things with them before it gets dark out.
Yeah.
So he's asking just a ton of questions, and, you know, what do I look for? What do I look for? And you know, the aimings process like that we're going through.
Yep.
So pretty soon you just gotta say, all right, when you see something, you'll start getting the knack of it a little bit.
Absolutely.
When you start seeing what you're supposed to be looking for.
Right.
You know, yeah, I can tell you that it's gonna look kind of whitish, but the water's so dirty, it's hard to pick it up and stuff like that. So
I think the best way as far as like doing that goes, and absolutely it's a great question for people to ask when they're new, because, you know, you want to try to get as much information as possible before you start shooting fish. But the best way to learn and do that is to just do it.
Just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yep.
You know, we're trying to tell them to aim. I always tell people to aim at the belly of the fish.
Sure.
And then from there, we'll work our way depending on how deep the fish are, what the fish are doing, and stuff like that. So I always tell them to aim at the belly of the fish. So we get going, we turn the fan on, and we get going, and once again, we had a goofy wind that was just kind of messing with us, you know. And we went back into the spots where we had shot the fish the night before, and there was fish in there, but just not as many as there was the night before.
Okay.
We shot just a couple commons and a handful of some buffs, and the fish just weren't in that area because of the wind. I think it was blowing colder water into there.
Oh, okay, sure.
So we eventually just kept working our way along the shorelines, and we went back into another finger, and I started going back and forth and pushing from the deep into the cattails.
Sure.
And when we got about halfway back in there, the number of fish that we could see we were pushing like doubled.
Really?
Yeah, it just like doubled. And I was pushing fish from one side to the other side into the cattails, and all the fish hit the cattails, and you could see the cattails just busting and crashing, and the fish were turning around coming back at us. And I watched the buff come out the side, and I watched him draw, and I watched him follow that fish, and he released his arrow, and he hit his first fish.
Oh my gosh.
After probably 10 misses, you know, he hit his first fish.
Yep.
And he was so excited.
Oh gosh.
He was just so excited. So we got the fish in the boat, and we got some pictures of him holding that fish up. But once he did that, it like triggered what he had to look for.
His killer instinct.
Yeah, exactly. Because he reloaded and got it back up on the deck, and he was like a cat on the prowl, man. He was just up there just like in lock mode. He was just, boy, he was scanning that water back and forth.
Gosh.
And he was just waiting for anything to come bouncing out. One time, a big old muskie came barreling out, and he drew it. No, you know?
Yep.
Because there's no gar in that body of water, so we got to watch our northern pikes and our muskie up here.
Yep.
But it's just really cool to see how once they connect with that first fish, it's like stuff clicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff clicks to them, and we worked our way back, and we were pushing a lot of fish. We were getting into some good fish. We were having a good time, and then we got way into the back of this little finger, and the water kind of cleared up.
Ooh.
And there was commons like laying everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. And he was just going crazy.
Oh.
He was just going crazy. And it was so cool to see. It was fun to see. He shot some really nice commons back in there. Zach shot some good buffs that night. But it was just a really fun night. And I didn't want to look at my cell phone because I was afraid to see what time it was.
This was your second night of a back-to-back, working all day, shooting all night.
Right.
Oh,
yep.
boy.
So I didn't want to look at my phone, and we started working our way back out. We were shooting fish, and I would have loved to stay there. I could have stayed there until the sun came up.
Right.
But I had to come back and get a little bit of sleep before I came to work. So I reached my back pocket, I pulled up my phone, and it was 11:30. I was like, oh, guys, we gotta head back. So we started working our way back, and it seemed like the more we're coming back out, we were seeing more and more fish.
Really?
Yeah. So some of the fish actually were starting to spawn.
Oh, boy.
We could see the big tails out of the water.
Oh, you stop it.
And we're like, and John looked at me and goes, "You're not going to work tomorrow."
Oh, boy. Oh, just hearing that gets me all antsy to go out and shoot some fish. But
no, he had just a blast. He even made a bunch of posts on his Facebook page. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Got bowfishing off my bucket list, and had some pictures that we had taken of him the night and stuff. So it's always so fun to take out somebody that's never bowfished before, because along with the bowfishing was just the atmosphere that they never get to see at nighttime on the water.
Right.
You know, with the lights on, you know, muskrats, like I said, you know, the muskies, the game fish, hearing those fish hitting those cattails, it sounds like a bear's coming out of the cattails.
It does. It's crazy when you push fish up in there. You can't think that fish could make as much of a ruckus as they do when they're out there. It's crazy.
It's crazy to think that they can even get back in that far.
I'll sometimes see cattails moving, and I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
How?
I know.
How was there even a fish in there? And then sometimes that fish will bust out, and you'll see it, and it won't be a small fish either.
Right.
It'll be a good-sized fish that wedged its way up in there. But
Yep. So no, he had just a blast. But just to go to show you, so that was April 25th, and we had a little bit of spawning action that was going on back there from the buffs. Well, with this goofy weather, I'm sure, like right now, there's nothing going on.
No.
I mean, it was starting.
Yeah.
It was starting. Because then me, you, and Alabruski went back out on the 26th.
Yep.
And with the winds and stuff, it was just horrendous.
Yeah.
We shot 2 nice buffs.
Yep.
And we were out there from 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 in the morning till
4:30.
4:30.
Yeah.
And we just finally said, we're going to wrap it.
And the bad part about it was, out in that wind, there were some fish spawning. There were, there were tails up out of the water, and we just, by the time we got to them, and we had to make so much noise to get to them, and it wasn't full blown. I mean, it wasn't like they were going crazy, but there'd be a pocket here and there of fish that were pushing a little bit, but
the wind just killed it. That day. Just killed it that day.
Yep.
But otherwise than that, I know my good buddy Dennis Redden had his grandkids out here probably 2 weeks ago down in the Kentucky area, and they were shooting some really nice smallmouth buffs.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw some pictures of that, too.
So things have been happening, It's just here in Wisconsin, we just got this goofy flip-flopping weather, Cold, rain, snow, sunshine, windy.
Right. And I think all this week it's supposed to be like 40s for a high.
Yeah, so it's really going to push us back another week here. I would guess that we're probably 3 weeks behind.
Sure.
On our weather conditions and water conditions.
Yeah.
So, that could really be, it could be just the lakes in Wisconsin could be really on fire for the AMS Big 20 this year.
Yes. Oh, I didn't think of as far as dates go. Yes,
June
they
8th
could.
and 9th. They could really be on fire for that.
Yep. And we see good weights come in when the spawn is done.
Right.
With fish.
Right.
This could be Wow, that could be fun.
So, and it always seems like when the night we were with Pastor Zach and John Hubble, we had 64 buffs that we had shot.
Gosh.
And then you look at the next day, we go out with the camera stuff.
Oh, then
and we shot 2.
Yeah, that's just how that works.
We shot 2 and a handful of commons.
Yeah. Yep, that's just how that always seems to go. Yep.
Same spot.
Yep.
So crazy.
Something I just wanted to, you mentioned how Pastor Zach kind of got that killer instinct to him a little bit, and it's like he was zoned in then.
Right.
I'll get that myself just going out regularly. If I go out shooting fish at night, I might miss my first 3, 4, 5 shots, but then once I hit one, it's like, okay, now I'm zoned in. Right then I'm really starting to bowfish. It seems like you just gotta see that first arrow hit that fish, then you know where to aim, you know how to lead that fish if it's moving or something. You can just kind of figure it out on the fly there.
Yep.
But
absolutely, it just takes one of those fish to get you in that zone, and you're ready to start sticking fish. I know once this weather does finally crack up here, I mean it's gonna be. We could have the buffs and the carp spawning at the same time.
I looked at an extended 10-day forecast, and if I remember correctly, this upcoming Sunday, all this week is like high to mid to upper 40s for a high, 64 Sunday, and sunny.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are the kind. I mean, and then it's supposed to be warm next week too.
Right.
That's going to be the kickstart, I think.
Yep.
Of fish. You know,
because even still, we're getting in the low temps in the 30s at nighttime.
Yep.
And that just kills water temperatures.
Yep.
You know, you got to look for that magic water temp. So everything's about 3 weeks behind up here in Wisconsin, which, like I said, could mean big things for the AMS Big 20. There should be a lot of good fish out for that.
Could mean big fun things as well for the Take a Kid event.
Absolutely.
Some kids could end up shooting some big old fish out there. That could be very fun to see.
Yep.
That'd be awesome to have a kid tangle into a 40-pounder. Oh, that would just be crazy.
That'd be a hoot. But it should be a great... I just hope that we have sunny day.
Yeah.
You know, so the kids can see the fish, and I hope that there's it's calm, and I hope the kids can get a lot of action. They should this year, being that it's May 11th. It should be really cool. We'll just kind of end it, I guess, on I'll tell a little story here about.
Sure, absolutely.
Back in 2011.
Oh my gosh.
Going back a little bit.
Yeah. 8 years ago already. Wow,
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
My nephew and I went down to Alabama. We're going to Gunnersville to shoot in the Muzzy Classic. And I had to pick up my buddy Josh Bird that was flying into Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
So as we're driving down the interstate pulling the boat, we're about 50 miles north of Huntsville.
Okay.
All right. And we're driving down and got the radio on, and we can see the storms in the area and stuff like that there. And pretty soon we're getting just pounded with hard rain, hail. We actually had to pull off the road to stop. And as we're pulling off the road, we can hear on the radio that they're coming through with, tornado warnings and watches for this whole area.
Oh boy.
And Huntsville was one of the areas that they're talking about, and so was Gunnersville.
Oh jeez. Okay.
And I'm like, oh man, I hope Josh was able to fly in, because we're only 50 miles away from the Huntsville airport.
Right.
So we got to Huntsville after the rain had stopped and everything like that there, and we could see some pretty bad storms off to our side. And Josh was there. We picked him up, and as we got within about 3 miles of Gunnersville, we saw this, first we saw a tree knocked over.
Oh,
and then another tree knocked over. And the further we went, the worse it got. And we got into Gunnersville, and it was some big trees that were laying in people's yards. Wires were all down and stuff like that. And I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy,
So, you thinking a tornado just went through there?
That, before we got down there, yes. That morning, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So I tried calling the resort that we were staying at, and there was no answer. So we went through town, and I got my GPS on to get to this lodge that we're staying at. We couldn't get through the road because there was trees just like toothpicks all over the road. So I finally got a hold of them, and they says, well, you won't be staying here because a lot of our cabins got destroyed in the tornado this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we ended up getting a little motel right in Gunnersville.
Okay.
And the whole day, the tornado sirens did not stop.
Oh, that's eerie.
It was very eerie. They did not stop.
Oh.
So we really didn't think much of it at the time, because this is on Thursday before the tournament.
Yep.
So we really didn't think much of it. So we went and found a place that had some food, and that night the storms really got really bad.
Okay.
And pretty soon there was no power.
Oh my Lord.
And one time they came and were hitting our doors, telling us that we need to get down from the 4th floor and get down because there's a tornado heading our way.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And that's when they actually had that really big tornado in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay.
Which wasn't that far from us.
Sure.
And that whole night, it was just very eerie because there was no power. There was no street lights. All you saw was squad car lights and ambulance lights.
And at night, were these sirens still going off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
It was nonstop. So the next morning we get up, and what we found out was there was no power, so there was no gas stations that could pump gas.
Oh, no.
So we found out that there was a gas station about 20 miles away that had gas.
Okay.
So we started heading there because I needed to get some diesel for the truck.
Sure.
So we started heading there, and it was crazy because we were going by these other gas stations. There was like miles long of vehicles waiting at these gas stations. So we get down to this gas station. Thankfully, they had some power and they had diesel, so we had filled up there. And so we drove back to Gunnersville that night. After that, and pretty soon the armed forces had moved in. The National Guard and stuff had moved in now.
Okay.
And then they set a curfew for 10 o'clock at night. You couldn't be on the roads after 10 o'clock at night because there was no power, there was no lights and stuff like that.
Sure.
They didn't want vandalism or robbing and stuff like that.
Right.
So we stayed in our motel room that night, and once again, very eerie. A person doesn't realize what it's like to not have power.
Sure.
And, it's very strange.
For that extended amount of time.
Yeah. So very strange. So we stayed that night, and then the next morning, we found out that the tournament had been canceled.
Okay.
Because it was pretty bad down there. So the next day, we went and we put the boat on the water. And we cruised around a little bit, and we got video of these trees all over these campgrounds on top of campers and stuff like that.
Oh, my gosh.
You actually see the paths where these tornadoes would come through the woods, and, you can see the path where they had just destroyed the trees and stuff like that. And then that night we went back on the water, and the water was just terribly muddy and dirty and stuff like that, and it was kind of a waste of time, but we didn't have nothing to do, so we went and put on the water, and we were coming back around, I don't know, 11:30 at night, and we got pulled over by the National Guard.
Really?
Yeah, yep. And he said, what are you guys doing? We told him what we were doing and stuff. He's like, well, there's a curfew. You shouldn't be out here, so get back to your motel room and just stay there.
Oh, my Lord.
And like I said, it's so eerie and so weird. You're driving back, and you're getting into the city, and it's just dark.
Dark.
Except for squad car lights you can see,
Oh, wow.
So,
that is strange.
So the next morning we got up and we just made the call that, man, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And we drove a long ways. I mean, we saw a lot of vehicles waiting in line. We saw a lot of damage. But, man, just talk about an eerie couple of nights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down there. It was just really weird.
Oh, wow.
Really strange.
The whole nighttime trying to sleep at night with no power and tornado sirens going off. Mm-hmm. And then you guys had to get pulled from the 4th floor because of tornadoes.
Yeah.
That's
And like I said, we had no TV, and we didn't have our nice phones that we have nowadays. We could just kind of text,
Right.
We didn't have all this other fancy stuff on our phones, so it was just a really weird night. And I remember we drove back and dropped Josh off in Huntsville and drove back, and we hit the buff spawn back in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So, but things should start popping up here quickly if the weather ever cooperates.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we'll have a little product highlight moment right now.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the AMS Anchor QT, man.
I think that's a great choice.
3 barbs, twist the shaft to release it out of the fish.
Yep.
And I shot it here for the last three times that I've been out now on those big buffs, and very, very happy with the holding on those, pulling them back in. And then the ease of getting them off,
Absolutely.
And the Cyclone tip was doing really good. That's heat treated.
It's going to hold
add
up.
more strength as well. It stays sharp. It's got a kind of a unique cutting angles on the Cyclone tip to make it stronger. And
spiraled down
that's
like
right.
that.
But you want to check out the AMS Anchor QT at amsbowfishing.com. It's a very nice holding point, as well as very easy to get the fish back off.
You can shoot numbers with it because you can get fish off so fast, and then like you said the other night, you were shooting big fish with it, no problem as well.
Absolutely.
You'd be hard pressed to find when I don't have a QT on my arrow. That's probably my favorite point.
It's your go-to.
It is my go-to.
Yep. I think it might be my go-to, but I always was, the Anchor FX was my go-to point.
A great point as well.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about that, you just turn the tip a couple turns and it pulls those 3 barbs forward as well.
Yep.
So just a couple points you can check out from AMS Bowfishing, but from all of us at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. Get on those waters because things got to be heating up in your area, because they're heating up here in Wisconsin, even though we've had this kind of goofy weather. So get on the water, and from all of us at AMS Bowfishing, best of luck on the water, and remember, aim low,
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.